I want to tell you that, if you're in law enforcement, for some reason, they don't let you serve on jury duty. And I think officers would make great jurors because they know the law and what's going on, and something's going on that shouldn't go on. But they just don't call you for jury duty for some reason. Maybe because you arrested the person that's sitting on the witness stand, maybe. So, but I'm a former law enforcement. I'm not in law enforcement anymore. And so I finally got a call to go down to jury duty, and I thought, this is it. I'm going to go down there, and I'm going to just see what happens. Because I wanted to be able to go to jury duty. As a matter of fact, when you think about the United States Constitution, and it says in the United States Constitution that, I think it's the Sixth Amendment, right? It says on the Sixth Amendment to the United States Constitution, this is why we have juries. He says, on all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by any impartial jury. So it's an impartial jury of the state and the district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall make previous circumstances, all the different kind of things. But you're looking at, so that what was happening, that I was excited about being able to exercise the Sixth Amendment, because I could never do the Sixth Amendment because they wouldn't let me be on jury trial. And so a lot of people don't know that's your constitutional right, because if you're being accused of something in America, it used to be you're innocent until proven guilty, and the Sixth Amendment is your right to that. And so you have a jury of your peers, and so they gather all this pool of people. So you can imagine, I don't know if maybe you've been on jury duty, but this is my first encounter with the whole pool of people that have been gathered to be able to come in there, and we're sitting in this big room, and you're waiting for your number to be called out, and some people are getting called out, some aren't being called out. And finally, they called my number. I'm like, oh my goodness, and they started asking you questions like, what do you think about people that murder people? Different questions like that, whatever it was. It was a battery situation, I believe. And you answer those questions, and the jury the attorneys have a right to be able to, just do away with you for whatever reason. It's called Fourier or something like that. I forget what the particular rights cause. And so yes, that's what it's called. And so I was trying to figure out what it was called. And so anyway, make a long story short, they picked me for a trial, and I'm like pumped. I'm like, man, this is the first time I'm going to a sequestered jury time, and you're going to put you in this room before you go out into the trial. And we're down to the few jurors that's going to be on the trial. And they carry us out there. They set us in the jury booth. The judge is there, the prosecutor, the defense attorney, the witnesses, the suspect. I mean, everybody's in the place. And I'm like, this is it. I'm like sitting in the audience seat I wanted to sit in for years. And so the trial begins, and the opening statements are made. I'm going, this is great. I'm here. I'm from this. I never saw it from this side. I've been on the witness stand. I've been in the other areas, being in law enforcement, but I never, former law enforcement, but I've never, been in the jury stand. Now I'm sitting in the jury stand. And so they're opening they're doing their, opening statements. They're talking back and forth with the judge, and they're going to the judge's bench and coming back. And all of a sudden, the defense attorney looks over at the jury box. He's just looking over at all of us over there. So I'm looking like, I wonder which one he's looking at over here. Right. And then he walks up to the judge's bench. They turn their stuff off. They're going, rah, 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 rah. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? And they look over the jury box. I'm like, what's going on over here? And all of a sudden, the judge says, juror number 6. Juror number 6. That was me. He said, could you please stand up? And I said, yes. He goes, is it true that you're in law enforcement? And I said, nope. I'm not in law enforcement. Well, he said, well, is it true that you used to be in? And then they talked back and forth, the attorney did. And he goes, well, is it true that you used to be in law enforcement? I said, yes, it is true. And he said, well, why didn't you tell me you used to be in law enforcement? Because I'm a pastor, right? I'm in ministry. I don't tell you what my former jobs were. And of course, I said, I would like to excuse juror number 6. So the whole court stops. I walk out like the perpetrator walking out of the room, man. That was my first, not my last, my first time being on jury duty, and I made it that far, and they started the trial again. And I had one other time, and I'm thinking this time it's going to be the same thing. You know, I'm trying to get on. Everybody's trying to get out of jury duty. I was trying to get
in the jury duty.
Yeah. I was trying to get on it. Right? The only people on jury duty are the ones that weren't smart enough to get out of it. They're going to decide your future. You need to serve. It's
just say you were former law enforcement.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're gone. They're not going to have you to say that. And so the second time, they brought me in for something else, and I made it all the way through. They had no problem with it. And it really was the defense attorney that had a problem because we knew each other, I guess, from a previous case in the history. And it was nice. It was nice being able to go to hear the evidence and how people were being wrongly or rightly accused. We weighed the evidence out, and we went back in the jury room. And I started looking at the fate of this particular person and weighed in the hands of these people. I'm like, oh my goodness, what a system. These are interesting individuals, right? And so we worked it all out. We came out of a decision, not guilty, and which is pretty cool, overwhelmingly. We took votes, and but it's a flawed system, but it's the best flawed system there is because people are involved in it. So yes, I got called out in the middle of a trial because I was juror number 6, and because I had former law enforcement experience on the job. But they didn't ask me the question. If they ask you the questions, you answer them, but you don't volunteer. When an attorney's talking to you, you don't talk about yes, talk like Pat. No, right? Those kind of the ways,
You would think former law enforcement would make the best jurors. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you kind of know the laws. You would be quick to go like, they messed this case up. There's no way. And somebody has swore warrant out on their roommate, spouse, boyfriend, whatever it was. And so it was basically these two individuals were against each other. And so there just wasn't enough evidence because you have to be proved beyond a shadow of a doubt in America. It used to be had to be proved beyond a shadow of a doubt. But for some reason today, somebody could just say something and you could be a Supreme Court justice and they consider you guilty, which is not, it's all illegal. By the way, this is important. So when you see that, this is a violation of that person's or your constitutional right. And you got to just stand up and say, this is not right. And stand up, and the Constitution will back you up. You're actually submitting to the laws of the land, when you do that. So that was my first, and not my last, thought it was going to be my last time in jury. And it was very dramatic. And I was the drama in the courtroom.
Who is this juror number 6?
Juror number 6. A lot of people want to abide with the Lord, but they just don't have a plan to do it. You can request that plan today at iabide.org. Thank you for watching the Greg Lancaster Show. Don't forget to follow us, like us, and subscribe. Go to our YouTube channels, Facebook, Instagram, Rumble, Parler, Spotify, iTunes, download our app, even on Getter. Go to the Apple Store and rate us. When you rate us, more people will get the broadcast. That's how this whole logarithm thing works. And thank you for watching the Greg Lancaster Show.